Guys, I gotta let you know, Barbell Apparel's hoodie deal ends this Sunday night. Make sure you get over and get yours before it's too late. Here's the deal you don't want to miss. Get a free hoodie on any purchase of $99 or more. This is a value of up to $88. These are my favorite hoodies. I have 5 of them in my closet right now. They are insanely soft and extremely comfortable. The fabric is breathable and has moisture-wicking properties, so they're great to work out in. And with Barbell's tailored athletic fit, you're gonna look good wearing them. I promise that. These will become your favorite go-to hoodies. Barbell Apparel's quality and construction is second to none and is backed with a 1-year guarantee. Wear it, work in it, live in it. If your clothing fails you in the first year, Barbell is going to replace it. This incredible deal ends on Sunday, so get to barbellapparel.com right now before it ends. All right, guys, let's talk a little bit of boxing. A few things happened over the weekend. For drama's sake, right? Floyd Mayweather goes out to do his match in Japan. I keep call that wrestling. I keep doing that. These are scripted bouts. But I must tell you, Floyd's not in on it. Floyd's out there. Floyd's sinking them in. And I say that because I might have to amend that statement. Not everything you see over there, right? Pride organization, not everything you saw was scripted. They put a lot of real matches in all fairness, how would I know? How would I know unless we saw a replay and a punch landed and the guy went down? So, Floyd goes out, and before the fight, guy comes into the ring. Now, Floyd's in his corner, try to picture that. Okay, mouthpiece in, t-shirt off, all wrapped up, and a guy comes over to him to present like a ceremonial presentation of flowers. Now, it's very relevant because these flowers aren't from Floyd's opponent. These flowers aren't from the promoter. This is set up to be a welcome from the people of Japan. At the last moment, the gentleman throws the flowers on the ground, again, like a pro wrestling thing. Now, it wasn't a tremendous piece of theater, but the organization came out and called him a despicable human being. I don't think he was supposed to do that. I don't think he was supposed to do that. I think it's called going into business for yourself. It's where you go off script when the cameras are live thinking you're going to put yourself over in a way that the writers didn't do. And sometimes it works. When Stone Cold Steve Austin became Stone Cold Steve Austin, he went into business for himself. He went off script. He could have been fired for it, but it worked. So the guy, last minute, the guy throws the flowers at Floyd's feet. Now, to call him a despicable human being, there could be a cultural issue that I don't understand. I don't know that I would feel terribly disrespectful if a person gave me flowers. I think handing a guy that's wearing gloves flowers is weird. I guess I would start with that. Why are they walking Floyd a bouquet of flowers to start with? Which, again, could have some cultural representation. So I'm asking you guys the question. So he throws them at Floyd's feet. What's Floyd going to do with them anyway? If the guy hands them to Floyd, Floyd's then going to have to throw them on the ground. He's got a fisticuffs to get to, and they don't involve flowers. He didn't have a vase. He wasn't putting in water. What, did the guy think he's going to ship it back to his mansion in Las Vegas? Not for nothing. Who gives a damn about the flowers? I'm just sharing for you that I think the guy was not supposed to do that. I think when Ryzen turned on him and called him a despicable human being after the fact, right? If you wanted to do it in the moment, if the announcers wanted to do it, that'd be one thing. If you wanted to do it at a press conference, try to sell some tickets, this was after the fact. I think the guy might have screwed up. I'm not positive that guy comes back, and we will find out. And it's very hard to rattle Floyd. Floyd just smiled when it happened, but Floyd also didn't know how to interpret it. Is this a cultural issue and I was just heavily disrespected? Is that what, do I need to whip your ass? Or is this just part of the show and you threw flowers at my feet, of which I wasn't going to pick up and smell and put in a vase anyway? All right. But while you're thinking about that, I think Floyd's got it all figured out. I used to really question Floyd. Here, let me give you a great quote. Jake Paul over the weekend was talking about Floyd going and doing this match. And Jake Paul said he's ruining his legacy. I agreed with Jake. I don't know that I currently agree with Jake. But that was my prediction as well. This is silly. And Floyd even knows it. So that's why he's lying about the money he's getting. Got $8 million to do that fight, but he claimed he got $20 million to do the fight. It's like one of these things where he's trying to justify it. He's trying to explain it. I don't think he owes us that. Floyd, prior to this last fight, said something very cool. He said, yeah, I'm going to go over to Japan. The money's good and the competition's pretty light. Now, I appreciated that because it is light competition. But for Floyd to go out and do that, I mean, you got to be in a level of shape. You got to have a level of timing. It takes a level of hard work. I mean, Floyd's really got this thing figured out. You go pick up $8 million, but Chael's sitting over here saying, oh, you didn't make all $20 million. He made $8 million. This is beautiful. Went over to Japan, had light work. This was yesterday, guys. A fight was announced today for Floyd. Floyd's next fight, they're calling it an exhibition. It's already announced. So I would have agreed with Jake, like, hey, man, this is going to hurt your legacy. And it really comes down to a level of production. If people are used to, and people, you guys don't understand this. The psychology, you don't even know this about yourself. But when you see a big, beautiful production and then you don't, you will hold that production against the guy and against the event. Whoa, he's really slipped. But Floyd's going to play. They got beautiful production. He looks good in there. And I do think it's relevant that Floyd knocked this boy out because people were trying to say that it was a punch that missed. Gerald Harris does a great breakdown on Twitter. And he just shows the clip, and Gerald talks about where the punch lands and why it is so devastating when it's behind the ear. And this is a straight right by Floyd. Floyd's absolute hardest punch and hits again. The guy's not very big. But the fact that Floyd put this guy down, he put the last boy down too. He's been to Japan 2 times now. 8 million and 8 million, claim 20 and 20. The point is he's putting both guys down. Now, I get where they're at, but these guys have a level of experience. One of them was a world kickboxing champion, the first opponent. The second one is a young, brash, hungry young man who had real skills. He slipped a number of things. He was throwing his own combinations. I mean, it was fine. But I only bring this to your attention. Floyd went over to Japan. He knocked out 2 guys. They were pretty tough. One of them was a kickboxing champion. I mean, right, these guys are pretty tough. I don't know their resumes. He didn't even come close to doing that to Logan Paul. But it's something to consider. Right, much like a fine wine that gets better with time, Logan's victory over Floyd, or Logan's performance, because people don't want to adhere to the rules, they agreed if it went a distance, Logan wins. But I'm just sharing with you, Floyd's putting down pros with experience. Out finishing fights, he's not putting down Logan. What do you make of that? Right, Jake inserted himself, but I see what Jake sees. This isn't going to be great. It's turned out to be just fine. Like, Floyd keeps riding off into the sunset. You know, it's not the first that it happened. Mike Tyson's coming out and he's appearing in The Hangover, just by example. Muhammad Ali went out. He had a wrestling match with a professional wrestler. Like, some of those silly things come along. And I don't know that it ruins your legacy. And if you're Floyd and you're going, hey, I don't care what the script says. Tell him, don't tell me, I'm going to knock him out. And then he goes and does it. I think it's a good thing. Meanwhile, over the weekend, if we're just going to sum up boxing, Eddie Hearn has filed a $100 million lawsuit against Jake Paul, and Jake had made a claim publicly that Eddie fixed a fight. Now, that's very strong language, but Eddie needs to tread real thin here. Eddie needs to be real careful. Because the truth is an absolute defense. And Eddie Hearn is saying, look, there's one thing for opinion, there's one thing for headlines, there's another thing for slander. It would not be good if Eddie Hearn, a promoter, a well-respected and massive promoter, was fixing fights. But Jake laid his case out as to why he thought that. Talked about a specific referee on a specific night. Talked about a call that, I apologize, a judge. Talked about a call that judge made that was adverse to the other 2 licensed judges, and everybody who knows anything about boxing watched. I mean, he laid out a good point. Can you tie Eddie to it? I mean, those are 2 very different things. Like, Jake put evidence for, but can you tie Eddie to it? The only reason I say that Eddie needs to tread lightly, you're talking about $100 million. You're talking about a guy getting a defense team. You got to be careful. You really do. The way that boxing does it and the damage that boxing has done over time. Teddy Atlas used to go on NBC, which called the Olympic Games. And every 4 years, Teddy would come out, but he would call out his own sport. He would call out the absolute corruption. There was a South Korean that beat Roy Jones Jr. for the Olympic gold medal. They got on the medal stand, and the South Korea, he's up there getting his award. He's apologizing to Roy. I am so sorry. The Olympics were in Seoul, Korea. The guy was apologizing over and over. He tried to give him the medal. These things happen. They get rid of Teddy Atlas. Now, all these years later, an independent party goes in and is starting to ban these guys, and they would like indictments. They found out there was everything that Teddy had told us was happening. He was right. Well, what the hell's that got to do with Eddie Hearn? I'm just sharing for you. There are ways. You got to be careful. If you're Eddie, you got to be careful. Come out, get your headline, do the lawsuit, talk about you're defending yourself, shut anybody else down from doing it, call Jake, hey, we're good, let this ride in the headlines just a little bit further. I'm not going to actually see you in court. It's not going to be a beautiful day if they go and get a defense together. There's going to be a lot of people that side with Jake. Even if Eddie's going, what are you talking about? Brought in a referee, I brought in a judge, I'm the promoter, I just got all the right people. I never had this conversation. It's a slippery slope. If I'm bringing in the judge, just so you guys understand how this works, if I'm bringing in the judge, I never talk to those judges. Matter of fact, I have somebody else even contact them. Book their travel, book their reservation, book them at the hotel. I never even say hello to these guys. But they're coming in to do my event, and I then go to a press conference, and I tell you very clearly who I want to win. I want Anthony Joshua to win, because I want to set up boxing's biggest fight ever against Tyson Fury. These are very common things. That's not fixing fights. That would just be normal. But I don't know how much of this that Eddie really wants to bring forward. This is slippery slope by Jake. But I don't think those accusations are something that Eddie or any other boxing promoter are actually going to want to test.